The stories we live by determine our lives. And right now in America, there's a big battle of the narratives that we will let shape the lives of our people. One story is a story that scares me. It's an ancient one. It comes from the Greeks, the ancient Greeks. And it's a story of binary opposites, with the first one always meant to conquer and control the second. Human over animal, man over woman, mind over body, one truth over many realities, empires over indigenous people. Now, this can sound abstract, but you can see how this story lives. Humans pillaging the earth for natural resources, men legislating control over women's rights and bodies, how we value intellectual work over manual labor, how Christianity in particular emphasized their one truth and labeled other views as heretical. And now, in the midst of all this, there has been a wave of anti-trans legislation in 2022. There have been nearly 240 legislative bills that have been meant to undermine the inherent truth, dignity, authenticity, and reality of our trans youth. This has come mostly in three forms. One, the main one, is that barring trans high school youth from participating, particularly in girls' sports. And this might not seem like the biggest issue per se, but I just want to say, as I know many of you have, when you are part of a team, you often have a place of belonging, a community who knows you and knows that you're valuable to the whole. You have a place to exercise, right? And exercise is so important not only for body well-being, but for spiritual and mental well-being. It's a chance to strive and fail and strive again, to learn one's accomplishments and how your skill and competency can grow over time, such a valuable life skills. And so if you can't participate in that, the loss is actually pretty big. Then there are laws that kind of ban ID changes. Again, for many of us, this doesn't necessarily seem like that big of a deal to have a legal document that correctly identifies how you would like to be, like your gender and your gender expression, how you know yourself to be. But I'll tell you, if the way that you know yourself and the way that you present in the world is different than that ID, it's hard to get through an airport, right? It's hard to constantly have yourself questioned. And so IDs are actually really important for just navigating life. When I was in Indiana, there was serving a congregation there was this moment of celebration. One of our congregants got up and made a pastoral announcement because she announced that she was the first person in the state of Indiana to get her birth certificate changed to her true sex, right? And that moment was this time of total celebration. She could not only be who she was, she could legally exist as she was. There was a great act of repair in that change. And now there are these laws saying that kind of shift cannot happen. Even things like name changes are being blocked. But perhaps the most disturbing to me is legislation criminalizing parents, youth, and doctors who are supporting trans youth in a change in their gender assignment, either through surgery or hormones or therapy, any stage in that process. And they're saying, it'll be criminal if you go to another state to have that happen. Or if you support your child and take in hormone blockers, so that way they have more time to decide and truly understand and be confident in the gender they want to be and how they want their selves to present. If you support your child in hormone blockers like that, that's a form of child abuse. Supporting your children and being themselves can be a form of child abuse now. It's not just Texas. There's a handful of other states that are trying to pass that legislation. You know, hearing this makes me feel lucky that we live in Maryland, a state that has pro-trans legislation, and where we have been part of the people, part of the tapestry passing legislation like that. And I'll tell you, it's not done here in Maryland either, right? There's still more to do in terms of reproductive access, more support in schools, curriculum, teachers still not willing at times to use the right gender pronouns for their students, many things. Our trans youth struggle here in Maryland, many of them. So where do we come in? We have a different story to tell as Unitarian Universalists, and it's also an old story. And the story goes that we, in our bodies, are whole, we're complete, we don't need to be fixed. We're whole, holy, sacred, and good. We are whole, holy, and good. And this idea came from William Ellery Channing, who Ken used for our opening words, the father of Unitarian Universalism, who in 1819 here in Maryland offered a really profound insight. Within the larger context that said that humans were sinful, that our bodies were bad, that the best we could hope for was to leave our bodies and go to heaven. That was the best we could hope for. William Ellery Channing said something different. He said, we, in our bodies, we hold the spark of the divine. That there is part of God's essence within us. And I'll tell you, part of that message was that God does not put sacred things in ugly things. God puts sacred things in places of beauty. But more, it's not just that. William Ellery Channing said in that Baltimore address that our bodies are how God's goodness enters the world. God's goodness enters through our works of justice making and mercy and charity. God works through our bodies, and hence our bodies must also be good. If this is one of our original theological tenets, then does it surprise you that we viewed women's bodies as good much earlier than other people? That we said women had rights, women had a responsibility to act, that women should have control over their own reproductive choices. We were the first denomination to ordain women. Does it surprise you that we were the first denomination to have a clergy person come and share that he was gay? Or to be the first denomination to call 20 years ago an openly trans minister? I'm not saying that we've been perfect. We've not. And our own growth and shifting and struggling to do better, understand more is reflected alone in the office within our Unitarian Universalist Association that holds this work. That office in the last 50 years has had to change its name 6 times because we keep on understanding better how to identify and give language to that work. 6 times. One of them was not even all that long ago. Our denomination has had the Welcoming Congregations program that was geared towards welcoming particularly gays, lesbians, and bisexuals starting about 30 years ago. It's time to renew that work, and they actually have renewal programs, so I think we should consider that. But the number one thing that gives me hope, and that tells me how and in what ways Unitarians have purpose in this, is being a caring community. Being a caring community. And I'll tell you, when this dangerous narrative of binaries and control is everywhere, it's more important than ever. For many people, schools, for many trans youth, sometimes schools have been their haven, sometimes and often because their families weren't their haven. But as legislation gets rolled out that says, you can't talk about these issues in school, teachers aren't allowed to talk about these issues at school, or that certain teams don't have access, or things like that, then schools are no longer that haven. But our communities still can be. We had a number of young trans congregants in my congregation in Indianapolis, and a couple of them shared with me a few times that when they come to church, particularly after they haven't been there for a while, sometimes they were really regular, but sometimes they would tend because those were the days that they most feared harming themselves. And so they came to church instead to be seen and welcomed as they are, to feel respect and belonging. It's not just that one congregation. Over and over again, I talk to colleagues in other states and talk to members of the LGBTQ community who say, literally attending your church saved my life. And it wasn't because Unitarian Universalists would always get their pronouns right or would move with ease and comfort into conversations with people they didn't know well. You'll notice that we're not always good at that at coffee hour. But we would try, and we'd be interested, and we'd care about who people were. And that caring makes a huge difference. It is heartbreaking the level of self-harm and suicide rates among LGBTQ youth, which quadruple if you're a trans youth of color. But I'll leave you kind of with this. One caring and affirming adult can reduce the chance of a trans suicide by 40%. That could be any of us here. One person, just one. Imagine a community that says, bring your truth, bring who you are, bring your gifts, bring your identities. That's what we seek to offer here. So my dear ones, how can we continue being a caring community? How can we learn more skills to do that with greater grace and welcome? There's some trans inclusion classes coming up. How can we support Unitarian Universalism so congregations like ours are in every state and in those 24 states that are cracking down hard on their youth? How can we remember that each person, including you, is whole, holy, and good? How can we practice being a caring and intergenerational community? I know that we can together. May it be so, and amen.
Good morning. My name is Jane Kerrigan, and I'm the president of UUCA. I'd like to speak directly to the bridging seniors, to Fiona Coleman, Lillian Davis, Maeya Devlin Tremble, to Teddy Fleming, Nathan Hill, Haven Hitchcock, Isabella Roman, to Simmone Wallace and Will Whitaker. We have been privileged to witness your lives unfold, to love and cherish you in times of struggle and in gladness. Over the years, we have watched as you have become adults. You have expressed your convictions and lived by our covenant. We have sought to guide and nurture you, not to make you more like us, but rather so we can strive to be more like you. You have reminded us how important it is to be part of a larger UU faith, demonstrated how to live our values, and mostly how to be a person of integrity. We are proud to have you stand before us today and to receive the blessings of this community. Our love and well wishes go with you no matter where you go. Remember, no matter how far you journey, you will not be forgotten here. UUCA and this community will always be a home to which you can return. And I would like now to ask our bridging seniors to please come forward and to stand on the top step here, please.
Wonderful. And I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourselves because with Mass and everything, it's been a while. And if there's anything that you want to say to this community, it's a wonderful, you're invited to or you don't have to.
Hi, my name is Bella.
Hi, Bella.
Hi, my name's Fiona. I'm graduating from Annapolis High School with Bella this year, and it's good to be back here.
Hi, I'm Maeya, and I'm graduating from Chesapeake High School.
If you could give one to Maeya. I invite you to hold this water. When we dedicate our children, we often use the 4 elements. And now, as we bridge you into adulthood, we bring those elements back. I invite you to take a sip of water. May you know replenishment. May your thirst in life be answered by sweet water and by spiritual fullness. May on your lips be compassion, kindness, truth, integrity. I invite you to take a small amount of our earth onto your hands and rub it together. This is the sacred ground on which you spiritually grew, the ground that held your community. We say that we are shaped by place, and this place will always be part of you, no matter where you go. May you cherish the earth as sacred. May you pass your life through the fire of thought. Let your light shine so people know who you are. And may you be bright with integrity and authenticity. May you know the breath of life within you and respect and honor it in all other life. When you were a babe, we give to children roses, and we love how you have bloomed and know that you are capable of dealing with the thorns of life. You've gained skills to know how to care for yourself as we release you into adulthood. I now invite the families of our bridging youth to come forward and put a hand on their shoulder or their arm. You could stand behind them or kind of beside them. And I'm going to invite the other children and youth in the room to come forward and put a hand on their hands or arm or shoulder. I'll just say to all of you, your time is coming. Come on forward. Come on up. Right here. Yeah, you want to take this hand? Oh, how beautiful. I invite Faith Formation volunteers to come forward and put a hand on a shoulder or arm near you. And I'm going to invite all the rest of us to come forward, and let's do it this way, okay? So, yep. You could touch my back too, that works. So we're going to fill this space. No holes in our web. Come on forward. Come on forward. Let's touch someone who's touching someone. Are we all connected as much as we feel comfortable being? Which is a realer thing these days than other days. Look at the hands holding you, the faces recognizing and blessing you. When we look at you, we do not see our future, we see our now. Breathe that in. You are our now. Every once in a while, we get to actually see the interdependent web of life of which we are miraculously a part. Here it is. And at this moment, you are at the center of it. Breathe that in, because you have some important things to do, and I want you to be prepared. Know that you are already enough, more than enough to face what comes. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and yearning. Seek the life and live the life that you have imagined. Breathe in the fullness of that possibility. We know that life can be hard. It can and has rocked all of our worlds. You will try and fail. You will lose someone that you love. You will feel confused and lost. We all have. We are here to speak to that person. You do not have to be enough. This is the web of life and connection holding you up, refusing to let you fall. We will truly never let you completely go. You are with us, and so you will never hit rock bottom. Breathe that in. We know that you each have been given gifts and that those gifts are needed in this world. So we set you forth. Carry forth our shared faith and be the blessing that you are. You are the gift. Breathe that in. And now I invite those here to make a bridge in the aisle to make space for them to go. Hence, it's really good that you're. And if you're on the outsides, you could put your hands up too. And if you're online, you could extend your hand towards the screen. It's called a bridging ceremony for a reason. Go from this place full of the spirit of life and love. Amen. And now our bridging seniors can lead us forth. And you could go too. Yeah. You want to go too?